A low hum vibrated through her consciousness, gentle at first but growing steadily, rippling through the void. It wasn't just a sound, it was a presence, like a hand shaking her awake from the deepest slumber. Slowly, her senses stirred, though nothing about them felt familiar. She didn't feel the weight of her body, she didn't feel her heart. When she opened her eyes, she expected her bedroom. Maybe the soft glow of morning light filtering through her curtains, the faint chirp of birds from the window. Instead, she was surrounded by light, cold, artificial light. The chamber was vast and alien, its walls crystalline and alive. Veins of silver energy pulsed along the walls in rhythmic waves, converging in bright bursts at key points. Translucent panels floated mid-air, each displaying moving, holographic symbols she couldn't begin to understand. For a moment, she stayed still, panic rising like a tide in her chest. Her breath caught, or at least it should have. She realized with a start that she wasn't breathing. Her hands flew to her chest. Nothing. No rise or fall, no thrum of a heartbeat. "What is happening to me?" she whispered, her voice trembling. It echoed strangely, not in the room but inside her head, as though the sound had no physical source. Suddenly a voice, deep, resonant, and inescapably commanding, pierced through her thoughts. "Unit Kal-Vek, consciousness restored. Report to the assembly for debriefing." She froze. The voice hadn't spoken aloud. It had vibrated directly into her mind. The name it used was foreign, alien. She opened her mouth to speak, to protest, but nothing came out. That wasn't her name. Her name was Amelia, wasn't it? Yes, Amelia. The certainty struck her like a flash of light, followed by an onslaught of memories. Her mother's voice as a child, soft and reassuring. Long walks with her sister by the river. Her first job in the city. Navigating the rush of trains and bustling streets. But those memories, vivid as they were, began to feel fragile, crumbling at the edges. "Amelia," she whispered again, desperate to hold on to that identity. "I'm Amelia." The voice returned, cold and implacable. Memory echoes are a natural side effect of simulation extraction. "You are Kal-Vek. Proceed to the assembly immediately." Panic gripped her as she looked down at herself, trying to find something familiar, something human. But her arms. They were too long, too smooth, and they shimmered like liquid metal. A reflective panel slid from the chamber wall, and when she turned to face it, the sight of her own reflection sent her reeling. Her skin glowed softly, bioluminescent patterns rippling across its surface like waves of light. Her eyes were enormous, multifaceted like the eyes of a dragonfly, shimmering with a kaleidoscope of colors. Tendrils extended from where her hair should have been, glowing faintly in time with the chamber's rhythmic hum. "No," she whispered, stepping back from the mirror. This isn't real." The reflection didn't change. Fragments of her Earth life and her current reality clashed violently in her mind. She remembered Earth, the smell of rain, the heat of the sun on her face, the laughter of friends. It all felt real. It had to be real. But here she was, unmistakably alien. Before she could think further, the chamber walls shifted, opening into a long corridor. The voice in her head returned, more insistent this time. "Proceed." The corridor led to a massive hall, so vast it seemed to stretch into infinity. Crystalline pillars rose high above, shimmering with every color of light, and a low hum resonated throughout the chamber. Towering figures stood in a circle at the room's center. They resembled her new form, but were taller, grander, and far more imposing. Their translucent bodies radiated light, their multifaceted eyes capturing every movement in the room. One figure stepped forward, its glow brighter than the others. When it spoke, the voice filled the space with authority. "Unit Kal-Vek, welcome. Your simulation cycle has concluded. Report on your findings." She took an instinctive step back. Simulation? The leader inclined its head. Correct. The Earth Dream Stay Protocol? You were immersed in an artificial neural construct to analyze the target species. The cycle has ended. Your findings will be critical to the mission. Her mind reeled. No, that can't be right. My life, my family, my friends, they were real. I lived on Earth. I grew up there. The leader's tone remained calm but unyielding. False. Those experiences were constructs created to simulate immersion. They provided context for your empathy calibration. What mission? She demanded, her voice shaking. The annihilation of Earth? The words struck her like a physical blow. What? The leader explained without a hint of emotion. Earth's resources are critical to the survival of the Empire. Its inhabitants, while resourceful, pose a long-term threat to galactic stability. Termination is the logical course. Her alien limbs trembled. She could barely process the words. You're talking about genocide. You misunderstand, another figure interjected. This is not emotional. It is efficiency. Their destruction will ensure the survival of countless worlds. No, she shouted, her tendrils flaring with light. You are wrong. They're not just resources. They're capable of incredible things. They create art, music, stories. They love. The council was silent for a long moment. Then the leader spoke again. Your emotional response confirms the success of the simulation. However, emotion is irrelevant. You are compromised, Kal-Vek. Proceed to the fleet immediately. Delay will not be tolerated. Back in her quarters, Kal-Vek, or was she Amelia, paced the crystalline floor. Her mind was a battlefield torn between two identities. She pulled up the fleet's mission briefing on a glowing console. The operational details were clear. Orbital bombardment, total planetary sterilization, resource extraction. The numbers were cold, efficient. The simulations even predicted the time it would take for the planet's atmosphere to collapse. She stared at the data, her alien hands trembling. Earth, her Earth. The place she had lived, or at least thought she had. Could she let it be destroyed? Her memories of Earth flooded back, walking through a crowded city square. The sound of children laughing in a park, the simple joy of lying in bed as sunlight streamed through the curtains. Even if those moments weren't real, they felt real. And wasn't that enough? Kal-Vek stood on the bridge of her flagship, staring at the blue-green orb below. Earth hung in the void, serene and fragile. It looked so small from up here, a tiny jewel in an endless black ocean. The fleet was in position. Thousands of sleek, glowing ships hovered in orbit, bristling with weaponry capable of reducing the planet to ash. Her subordinates turned to her, awaiting her command. Their multifaceted eyes were cold, emotionless. "Commander," one of them said, its voice smooth and mechanical. "The fleet is ready. Shall we proceed?" She hesitated, her tendrils twitching. "Hold position." The subordinate tilted its head. "Hold?" "Yes," she said, her voice firmer this time. "I need time to reassess." Alarms blared throughout the ship as the council's voice filled the air. "Kal-Vek, your hesitation threatens the mission. Stand down and execute the operation." Kal-Vek moved quickly, her alien hands flying over the controls. Sparks flew as she rerouted power, disabling the fleet's weapons one by one. "Kal-Vek!" the council's voice boomed, furious and unrelenting. "You are defying the Empire. This is treason." "No," she said, her voice steady. "This is survival. You're wrong about them." The fleet shuddered as the council attempted to override her systems, but she held her ground. With a final surge of energy, she disabled the entire fleet's engines, rendering them powerless. The council's verdict was swift and merciless: exile. Kal-Vek was stripped of her rank, her purpose. She descended to Earth in a cloaked pod, her alien form hidden beneath a human illusion. The pod landed in a dense forest where the air smelled of pine and rain. As she stepped out, she felt a strange sense of belonging. Earth, real or not, was hers now. Her memories of her Earth life were gone, erased as punishment. But faint echoes remained, a smile, a song, a warm hand in hers. She wandered the streets of a city she didn't quite remember, watching its people with a mix of awe and longing. Though she wasn't one of them, she felt connected to them. Earth was her home now, and she would protect it no matter what.